All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 5:30. This meeting of the City of Frostburg is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please remain standing for just a moment.
Frostburg blessing. We are thankful for this special community, for the time we share together, and the bounty of our nation. We are thankful for the commitment of our people who volunteer their time and talents to make our community a better place to live, work, and raise a family. We know that we alone cannot meet the challenges or provide sufficient inspiration without community involvement and the dedication of all concerned to the greater good of the city and all who reside in it. We are thankful for the beauty, the time, and the place that is Frostburg. Amen.
Amen. All right. I'll have the call of the roll, please.
Commissioner Ritchie.
Here.
Commissioner Grove.
Here.
Commissioner Forsyth.
Here.
And we will let the record show that Commissioner Carter is not in attendance with a personal matter, and Mayor Logsdon.
Present. Okay. Before we move to item 5, welcome everybody. I'm very happy to see such a big crowd here. We do this every month, so feel free to come be here every month. Just to clarify for anyone who's maybe not familiar with the process, as we go through this tonight, on every ordinance and resolution there is a section, there's a time period for every ordinance and resolution that is for open public comment. The meeting rules which are posted in the back. Anybody is allowed to speak on any ordinance or resolution that's up for debate and passage. The rules require that when you speak, it is relevant, it's germane to the resolution or ordinance. Also, at the end of the meeting, there's time for open public comment where anybody's allowed to speak on anything they like. Okay? So we'll move on then to item 5, which is the approval of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Any discussion among council on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Agenda is approved. Item 6 is the minutes. So we'll talk about the minutes from the March council meeting.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes from the March council meeting.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the mayor and council meeting for the month of March. Discussion among council on that. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. March council meeting is approved. And then item 6B is the minutes from the work session from last week, April the 8th, both the open session and the summary of the minutes from the closed session.
I move we approve the minutes from the April 8th open and closed session.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the April 8th work session, both the open and closed sessions. Discussion among council on that. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Item 7 is special presentations. We have one special proclamation to make tonight, which I think Commissioner Forsyth will also be interested in. Whereas in 1872, a man named J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, which is called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in the state of Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-saving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore I, Todd Logsdon, Mayor of the City of Frostburg, do hereby proclaim this coming Monday, April 21st, 2025, to be Arbor Day in the City of Frostburg, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees and to gladden their hearts and promote well-being of this and future generations on this 15th day of April under my name. So, Monday, April 21st.
Want to also make the announcement?
Maybe, yeah, if you could do that.
So the way the city is going to celebrate Arbor Day is to have a ribbon cutting at the newly installed playground up at Glendenning Park, and we're going to be planting trees to gladden our hearts, and you're all invited.
Everyone from the public is invited, and there will be a special treat for children under the age of 10. Any children under the age of 10 will be entered into a contest for the honor of having the first trip down the slide at the new playground. So it's a big deal.
What time is that?
10 o'clock?
2 p.m.
2 o'clock. Okay.
Yes.
2 o'clock. Okay. Moving on then to number 8, agenda item number 8, the commissioners' reports, mayor commissioners' reports. Mrs. Jones, if you could go first, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners, and to the public. In addition to the printed reports that I submitted on behalf of the Finance Department for this month, I wanted to give a few brief highlights of some of the activities that the Finance Department has been involved in. Over the past month, we have been focusing very heavily on the budget preparation for fiscal year 26, and the budget will be discussed in detail later in this meeting, so I will not address that now. During this past month, we've also been coordinating with Allegheny County in preparation for the annual tax sale. So any properties that have 3 years of delinquent real estate taxes are subject to the tax sale. So final notices were sent to any property owner who would potentially be subject to the sale for Frostburg taxes. This process will move forward throughout the end of this month. And if properties do not have their taxes paid for that 3rd year by the end of April, they will be listed for sale in the Cumberland Times News advertisement. So if any property owner received a final notice either from Allegheny County or from the city of Frostburg, I would encourage them to act promptly to resolve that matter to avoid a property going to tax sale. And also, I would like to continue to encourage city customers to sign up for our ACH, automatic payment of utility bills. We've been doing monthly utility billing for the past 4 months, and that's gone very smoothly. But despite our efforts to encourage citizens to enroll in ACH withdrawal, we only have about 12% of our accounts currently enrolled. So there's no charge to take advantage of ACH withdrawal, no charge to the city or to the customer. And I would encourage customers to consider that. We do have significant participation in online payments, which is convenient. However, the city is currently absorbing the transaction fee for e-checks, and that's been about $500 per month based on the current volume of transactions. So again, as a cost savings to the city, I would encourage the ACH withdrawal for those who would consider that. We also offer the option to have emailed bills, and again, we have been emphasizing this, but we're still not seeing the level of participation that we would like. We only have about 12% of the bills going out by email as opposed to postal service delivery. So we have about 346 emailed bills per month compared to 2,435 postal delivery bills. So greater participation in e-billing would be a cost savings to the city for paper, envelopes, postage, and certainly there's efficiency in the use of staff time. So I would just like to encourage customers to please consider signing up for this service. Give it a try. If you're not satisfied, we'd be happy to switch you back to paper billing. If there's any questions, they can reach out to the finance office any day, and we are happy to assist in that matter.
As far as the tax sale goes, how many properties are on that list right now?
I do not have a firm number. In the initial process, Frostburg just looks at properties that have a 3-year delinquency to the city. Now, it could be that a customer has paid their city taxes in full, but if they are delinquent for 3 years with the county will be providing us that list because
Okay.
if they have potentially only 1 year of city taxes but 3 years of county tax, it would still go to tax sale.
And we won't know that till the end of the fiscal year.
We will not know that until later in April.
Okay.
The county will send us our list. We will communicate with them, the Frostburg properties. Now, once it gets to that stage of tax sale, then they have to pay all years of taxes, not just the 3rd year, which is what makes it go to tax sale. So that's why we really encourage people just at least take care of that oldest year, both for the city and the county, to avoid it going to tax sale.
Do you have an approximate number for at least the ones at the city?
For the city, I believe it would be under 50.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones. Ms. Fife, you're next, please.
Good evening, everyone. I have prepared a community development highlight reel of the things that we've been working on in our department in the month of March. So in March, we'll start off with permits. 6 building and business permits were issued in the month of March, including one for a commercial renovation, one for a single-family dwelling down at Pritchard Farms, and one major grading permit along Route 36. We've been getting a lot of questions about what's going on the lot beside Walgreens. Nothing to my knowledge, but the property owner is preparing this site to make it more attractive for a developer. So that's what you've seen going on down there. On the code enforcement side of things, in the month of March, 22 new code enforcement cases were opened. And to date, 14 of those have been resolved. 3 of them were referred to the Frostburg Police Department for further action. And then the remaining cases were initiated late in the month, so they're still in their compliance period. 1 citation was issued in the month of March, and payment was received on April 1st for that. On the rental housing side of things, very good news. As of April 1st, all but 6 units in the city were licensed. So that's really great news. We did issue citations in early April to address those outstanding 6 properties. So we're hoping to follow the procedures outlined in the rental housing ordinance to achieve full compliance for the year. Along those lines, we've been continuing to work on the rental housing program revamp. We've released a survey that is open to rental property owners and their owners' agents, just to gather some feedback about what their experience with the program has been. So far, that will remain open until April 25th, so we are still collecting feedback. But what we're seeing in the preliminary results is that we're moving in the right direction. All the things that are being reported are things that we're already working on, so that's really encouraging to our staff. The code enforcement officer is still continuing to do his rental housing inspector trainings, and we've been participating in weekly trainings with iWork to get our new rental housing module all set up. Tomorrow's our last training, so we're almost to the end. A couple more quick things. The comprehensive plan rewrite is still moving forward. The community survey was open through the month of March. And as of today, we did receive all the raw survey data. So that was about 42 pages just of feedback. So we're still waiting through that. And our consultant is putting together a final data report that really pares everything down to the main issues that were reported. And then we're also in the process of scheduling more in-depth stakeholder meetings that'll be taking place over the next several weeks. So since it's Earth Month, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Green Team's Earth Month Bingo. We've got Earth Month Bingo cards available here at City Hall and at the Frostburg Library. And there's all kinds of earth-friendly tasks that you can complete. And if you get a bingo, you just turn your card back in and you get entered into a drawing to win some Berg Bucks that can be spent at our downtown businesses. So that's going on through the whole month of April, so it's not too late to participate, everyone. And then I also just wanted to quickly plug the Buy Nothing event, which is coming up on May 17th and May 18th. For those not familiar with the event, we invite folks to bring things that you might have thought about putting out for bulk trash day or just taking to Goodwill. We invite everyone to bring that to City Place on the weekend of the event, and then we redistribute it throughout the community. It's been a really well-received event, so we hope to see everyone there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. It was a great event last year, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Forsyth, we talked about this. There was next to nothing left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost everything went, and we found homes for the things that were left, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a great,
There's
it's
about
a great
12
event.
bags left.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
and it keeps stuff out of the landfill, and it cuts down on the cost of bulk trash pickup. So
Exactly.
yeah,
So
Yeah, it's a
win,
great
win,
thing.
win.
Everything from furniture to clothes to baby items, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Bikes.
Well, thanks, everyone.
thank you, Mr. Lindsay.
Yeah, so I'll take over for the Public Works Department. That kind of covers a lot of different groups. I'll start with Parks and Recreation. In the Parks and Recreation world, the big thing has been the playground, getting that ready. We are a couple days away. The Parks and Rec crew has been diligently working there. Other than that, it's just summer preparation, so field prep, facility prep, working in some of the bathrooms and some of the different facilities we open up to the public, getting everything ready there, a little bit of landscaping here and there. In the water department, we have had 2 leaks, but other than that, it's been business as usual, which this time of year begins hydrant flushing and some preventative maintenance we get into. In the street department and the sanitation department, it has been our spring prep for summer work. So that usually entails catch basin work, drainage work, pothole patching, wedge and level for road prep so that we can get ready for our summer paving project. And we try to do drainage work this time of year so that if we have to come back later and pave, we can do that. In the public works engineering realm, we are just prepping for summer projects and then subsequent projects in the next few summers. So we're getting ready to release the roundabout for bid. We're getting ready to release the next phases of the CSO jobs for bid, which I'll talk about in the combined sewer overflow. And then we have wrapped up a few projects that we've been doing around the city, namely the Bureau of Mines building is now complete. That is across from the Armory. That is a project we did for the Bureau of Mines with their funding. We did the project management there. And then other than that, it is mostly just summer prep for summer work. So our ongoing CSO jobs, paving, and roundabouts. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to talk about it. Other than that,
Make a motion to approve.
Hang on, we got one more. Oh, sorry. Chief.
Oh, that's right, we're doing him now, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, and all. Good afternoon, good evening, actually. I have the police report for the month of March 2025. We had 743 incidents, and as a comparison, in March of 2024, we had 679 incidents. So as I've talked about before at meetings, the big numbers are a combination of real substantive incidents as well as just logs, patrol checks, those sorts of things. So each month I try to go down through some categories and just give you a sense of the types of things that we've handled. We had 13 arrests throughout the month of March of various sorts. We had 28 well-being checks, 2 emergency petitions, 15 assist other agencies, which is usually another law enforcement agency or sometimes EMS or some other public service entity. 46 requests for a police officer, which can be a variety of things. Sometimes it's maybe somebody's not sure if a crime's been committed or they need the assistance of the police. Sometimes it's just to help resolve a dispute or civil matter, that sort of thing, or something that ultimately is determined to be a civil matter. We had 16 follow-ups, and we had 29 disturbances of various sorts, which can be neighbor disputes, assaults, disorderly conduct, domestic disturbances, those sorts of things. We had 11 motor vehicle crashes, 36 traffic details, 1 DUI arrest, and 148 traffic stops. So in addition to our day-to-day law enforcement activities, I always try to talk about some of the above and beyond and community-type activities we're involved with. Just a note on the Shamrock Shuffle from a law enforcement perspective, it was very smooth, so we appreciate everybody coming out to support downtown Frostburg and keeping the peace and keeping it smooth and positive. So that was a good night for the police department and I think for the city. This month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so if you go in our police lobby, you'll see that our colleagues from the Family Crisis Resource Center came in and decorated our lobby and left some literature out there. We have periodically we have grants from the Maryland Highway Safety Office to do additional focused traffic enforcement. So right now we're doing some additional focus on DUI or impaired driving. So we advertise that on our social media. We try to announce it here, and we'll have at least one additional officer at a designated block to do just strictly DUI enforcement. We had the annual law enforcement basketball game on March 22nd, same day as the Shamrock Shuffle, and very successful, very positive event, great for our police department to be a part of that. We were also appreciative that one of our friends from the finance department, Trevor, played on our team, so it was nice to have a good city representation and kind of be a part of that good positive event. And this week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, which is essentially for our purposes, police dispatchers. I've talked over the years at different meetings when we've talked about their pay and benefits, their duties, the types of work they do. Some days they're doing clerical work and what I might call routine dispatching, kind of traffic stops, logging incidents, greeting people at the window, taking payments. Other times when there's a problem, like a serious incident or an emergency, it's unbelievable to see what one individual does at that front desk. They're on the computer, they're on 2 or 3 different phone lines bouncing back and forth. Sometimes they have 2 different radios to manage. Sometimes people coming up to the window at the same time. It's truly unbelievable and very impressive to see what they do. So we're very proud of our 4 PCOs, our police communications operators, and I want to thank the mayor and council for your support of our department and of our PCOs as we always look to support them and move in the right direction. That would conclude my report unless you have any questions.
I have none. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Okay. That is all the departments.
Yep. I make a motion to approve the monthly reports for the city departments.
Second?
Duly moved and seconded to approve the monthly reports of the various city departments. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Reports are approved. Moving on to item 9, this is the regular public hearing on the CSO. Mr. Lindsay.
Yep, so within the city of Frostburg, typically every year we take on what's called a CSO project, combined sewer overflow, and we provide a monthly update and a chance for questions about those projects. At this time, we have 5 different phases of combined sewer overflow projects in the works. The one that is most in the thick of things is phase 10A, which is occurring below Mountain Ridge High School. That has restarted, winter shutdown is over. We anticipate that project being over in the early fall to late summer timeframe, about September. The next 2 phases that are in construction but have just started with some test pitting and some groundbreakings are phase 8C and 9D, which are Center Extended and North Grant Streets in Frostburg. Those have just been a little bit of test pitting, kind of finding some stuff, figuring out where we want to start, and then those projects will start in earnest once the students leave FSU and we can really get into work there. The next 2 large phases that will occur in the Sleeman, Washington, McCullough, Nancy Grasmick, Mountain Ridge area are phase 10B and phase 10C. Those projects are finished with design and engineering. They are at the state level for final approval, and then they will go to bid presumably in May, where we will award that contract to a contractor, potentially 2 contractors, to split those projects up, and they will begin in the fall, but the bulk of that work will occur in the summer of 2026. So again, this is the time if anyone has any questions. I'm happy to answer them. But other than that, that is the quick update.
Other than, I understand that you just said that most of the work right in the area around Mountain Ridge on McCullough and Washington Street. Is there any paving that's going to happen soon? 'Cause
Yes.
It's pretty rough.
Yes. So on phase 10A, there will be some more paving that happens on the section right by Nancy Grasmick, and then the section that connects Washington and McCullough by the tennis courts at Mountain Ridge High School. And then in the fall will be when that work kind of starts. So you'll start seeing a little bit of pavement here, some utility work there in that area.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Other than that, if there are any questions.
Anything on this? Okay, we will consider that the monthly CSO hearing as required by law. Moving on then to item 10, old business, nothing as far as we know. So then item 11, under new business, this will be ordinance 2025-01. This is the budget proposal for the year. Mrs. Jones.
Thank you. We have discussed the budget in detail over the last few months, including at your work session last week. So this evening, for your consideration, I present ordinance 2025-01, which is the operating budget for the fiscal year, which will end June 30 of 2026. We have prepared this budget with the best information that's currently available to us. And as information changes during the year and circumstances come to our knowledge, we do often do mid-year budget amendments and final budget amendments. This is a balanced budget as is required for us. We have total revenues citywide of about $17.6 million, total expenses of around $17.4 million. Both the water surcharge fund and the garbage fund are budgeted to have net income as we are working to get towards our target fund balance in accordance with previous resolutions. Use of fund balance is required in the corporate fund and the water fund to balance the budgets, but we are staying within the target fund balance of these funds, even with use of the fund balance. The American Rescue Plan Act project funding will continue in the next fiscal year in the amount of $816,000. This funding is allocated towards the purchase of a plow truck, a street sweeper, and roundabout design costs, as well as a portion of funding for CSO Phase 10A. This will complete use of the city's $8.3 million of special federal funding received through ARPA that was initially received in 2021. The corporate fund is the fund which manages the accounting for all general government operations. The main source of revenue for the corporate fund is real estate tax revenue. Real estate tax revenue for this coming fiscal year is budgeted to be around $3.08 million. This is based on maintaining the current real estate tax rate, and this will be the 5th year that the city is maintaining this same rate of 70 cents per $100 of assessed value. The largest departmental expenses within the corporate fund are public safety expenses of around $2.56 million and the street expenses around $2.1 million. The roundabout construction is included in the administrative budget in the amount of about $2.1 million. The corporate fund also includes an allocation of around $120,000 distributed to 23 outside organizations from the anticipated hotel motel tax revenue that the city will receive. The proprietary funds of the city of Frostburg operate in a manner very similar to a private business, whereby the expenses of these funds must be paid with revenues from these funds. This is mainly through user fees. So real estate tax revenue does not support the water fund, garbage fund, sewer fund, or water surcharge fund. In the utility fees for the upcoming year, the city is budgeted to maintain all current utility fees with the exception of the garbage rate. The garbage rate is budgeted to increase $2 per month per unit. The fee schedule also includes a new item this year, which is a monthly fee of $1.70 per single family household for serve line protection. This is a new leak adjustment coverage, and this will be discussed later in a separate ordinance as well. Customers have the opportunity to opt out of this coverage, but if they do not opt out, it will be automatically included on their bills beginning in July. Again, that's $1.70. A detail of all the rates and fees can be found in the Schedule of Municipal Fees, which is part of the budget ordinance. Of the proprietary funds, just a quick overview. The water fund expenses are budgeted to be around $1.8 million. Sewer fund expenses are budgeted around $4.8 million, of which $2.7 million is for the portion of the 5 CSO projects, which Hayden discussed during the public hearing. Piney surcharge fund expenses are around $683,000, and that is predominantly for debt service. And garbage fund expenses are budgeted around $490,000. So that's a general overview of some of the highlights of the budget ordinance. So at this time, I would respectfully request a motion and a second to approve the ordinance on first reading and set the May 20th, 2025 council meeting as an advertised public hearing.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-01 on first reading.
Second?
It's been duly moved to approve ordinance 2025-01 on first reading. Is there any discussion among council on this item? If you could, Mrs. Jones, direct me to the proposed allocation for the hotel motel tax. If you could maybe just dive into that a little more. How many organizations did we receive requests from for hotel motel?
We received requests from 23 different
23?
organizations.
Okay.
The allocations are reflected in the budget line item that is titled Contributions Tourism. It's account number 01-110-5111.
Got it.
So the total allocations are $119,959. So in the budget, it's rounded up to $120,000. And this fully funds all the requests that were received from the outside
It
organization.
fully funds all the requests. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I had one other question, if you'll give me just a moment to go back and look.
And the budget is available to the public via our website.
Yes, all these documents are linked to the meeting portal for this evening's meeting. So if they go to the meeting agenda and they can see all the detail.
Click on packet.
So there's a detail of line by line of each budget revenue and expense line item, the detail of the hotel motel allocations, as well as the scheduled municipal fees.
And the only fee that has been increased is the garbage fee, and that's to compensate for the increased tipping fee at the landfill, is that correct?
Of the typical utility rates, that is correct. There were changes to some of the other fees from the permitting standpoint. The third party that the city uses to do this, some like construction expenses, some of those were changed. But as far as city fees that are reflected on the monthly utility bills, the garbage fee increase of $2 per unit, and then the addition of the new fee for serve line protection unless customers opt out, which will be $1.70 per month.
Right, and the serve line protection is meant to replace or supersede, maybe that's a more appropriate word, the current leak adjustment policy that the city has. That's what my second question was. Maybe if you could talk about that.
There is actually an ordinance to address that change, but yes, the serve line protection would replace the city's current leak adjustment policy for single-family residences that have their own water meter. The serve line protection is actually better than the city's existing leak adjustment policy. So if customers choose to opt out of the serve line protection, then they would not have the city's old leak adjustment policy available to those customers. The customers who are not eligible for protection under serve line, which would be multi-unit properties and commercial properties, would still have the existing leak adjustment policy available to them.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Anything further among council? Okay. Anything in the public comment on the budget ordinance? Okay. We'll call in Deirdre. Just to clarify, just to remind folks that maybe came into the meeting late, the way that public speaking works, public is invited to speak on any ordinance or resolution as long as your comments are germane to the ordinance or resolution, and we reserve the right to limit the speaking time to 5 minutes per speaker.
I ask you to
Deirdre.
state your name.
Oh, yes, and please, when you come forward, state your name and address for the public record.
My name is Deirdre Robertson. I'm the Executive Director of Frostburg First, Maryland Main Street Community, and that's the program that manages the Main Street and the Arts and Entertainment District for Frostburg. First, I just want to take a moment to thank you for the opportunity to speak, and also to thank the city for this long-standing program of allocating the hotel motel tax funds to organizations. It's a fantastic program, and it's certainly not one that every city does, so this is a really beneficial thing that we see, and then we cherish that. I did want to clarify, based on comments and concerns that were raised at the work session meeting last week, just so that the council has all of the pertinent information and up to date and accurate before any additional meetings would take place. Some of the concerns, and I'll hold back some of them because I know Commissioner Carter's not with us tonight, but some of the concerns that were raised were that our staff is never available or in the office, that it's dark every day, nobody ever sees us, that everything is at City Place, all of our events take place there, and that we're not putting a focus on our downtown business, that we're piggybacking on other events, and that our marketing efforts are not satisfactory. That in general, our programming is not focused on the businesses, we're focused on our downtown, and I think there were some questions raised about percentage of budget as well. So I did just want to clarify some of these issues so that you have all that information. We do have mixed hours at our office. We're fortunate enough to have a board that's supportive of working from home at times when that's required, but we do have 3 staff members, including myself and 2 interns, so there is typically somebody in the office during our open office hours. Because of the nature of our work, we are often called out to meetings. Katie, our events coordinator, is in particular often out connecting with our businesses. Dana is often out contacting people for social media or photographing. I tend to be more available by appointment simply because of the workload. At any given time, I'm managing somewhere between 10 and 15 grants and the associated projects with that. So unfortunately, I'm stuck on desk duty quite a bit of the time and administrative work. As much as I would love to be out more, I don't always have that opportunity. To address everything being at City Place and nothing benefiting our downtown, we do have multiple events throughout the year, quite a few. Typically, especially during our tourism months, we tend to have at least one a month. Arts Walk is just one of those events, although it's certainly one of our most well-known. It's been active for at least 15 years. I think it's longer than that, but we don't have the documentation. It is, in fact, always on the last Saturday of April, and it has been that since its inception. We haven't actually set up vendors at City Place in several years, basically since post-COVID, mostly because we want our vendors spread around downtown in our businesses and encouraging people to move around. We also spread out our activities throughout the town. We do scavenger hunts. We do our very best to make sure that the people who are attending are in fact circulating throughout our downtown. And there's always room for improvement. And we do actually put out feedback surveys after each event, asking for that feedback from our business owners as well, and try to implement changes wherever possible. There was some concern about our lack of marketing. We did start advertising for Arts Walk back in January. We have an active social media page for that, over 30 posts to date. I'm probably wrong on that, and Dana would correct me, but we have radio ads, newspaper advertisements, online ads, and not necessarily specifically related to Arts Walk, but sort of in part of that. Just this past year alone, we have spent around $25,000 in producing marketing materials or paying for marketing for outside organizations. So, for instance, we had a commercial that ran, throughout the holiday season on DC News Now, and the connecting streaming sites for that, advertising Storybook Holiday and shopping downtown in Frostburg. We have ads in Adventure Outdoors, Travel Taste and Tour, and other publications as well. Not to mention the downtownfrostburg.com website that we have with an active event calendar, and also the brochures that we produce every year that provide, a list of the businesses and sort of a map of the district, and in fact a narrative description of all the businesses involved. So again, we're always happy to work towards improvement, but we try to do as much as we can with what we have funding-wise. There was also concern about us potentially piggybacking on other events. Specifically, I think the Children's Business Fair was brought up this year. They've set up during the past, I think, 3 Arts Walks, primarily because they know that there's going to be family presence, there's going to be, a number of people who are out. This year we were also fortunate to have the Allegheny schools want to do their student art show during our Arts Walk. And I view these as really positive things. They're coming to us because of the success of Arts Walk. And it's an opportunity to get more people out during the day. So anything that brings more people out and exploring downtown, I think is a real positive. So I would kind of argue against that idea. And then so finally also addressing not being focused on the businesses or the downtown at all. And I just, it's one of those kind of easy misconceptions that because our events are so front facing, and that's frequently what people see most from us, that doesn't mean that there aren't a significant number of other projects going on in the background. Our sole focus as a Main Street organization, and as is dictated by our state and national organizations, is to revitalize our downtown and to encourage economic development. So all of our projects and our goals and our strategic plans surround that. Just this past year, we've had several projects that benefited our downtown. We conducted a market research and revitalization roadmap for downtown Frostburg, which was also contributed to the city's comprehensive planning process. That was a $30,000 project. We have another $15,000 project providing Locable access. It's an online platform for marketing, for event calendars, and gives any participating businesses a free landing page. And if you haven't taken advantage of this yet, please contact us. But it's a free opportunity and a way for people to get additional clicks and connect with Google searches and things like that. We've worked with local property owners in the state to rehabilitate local historic vacant buildings. For instance, one East Main, commonly known as the Franz Building or the Griffiths Building, that's currently being renovated through funding from our Project Restore grant, which brought in $240,000 for that space, and also for 27 East Main, where we're now going to see 2 new businesses opening up in those spaces really within the next couple of months. One is already open, Frostburg Fitness, and then She's So Pretty will be moving in June. So, and there are a number of other projects, and I won't continue on here. But I'm happy to discuss any of those projects and their impact on economic development for downtown at any time. And then the final question was regarding the funding, sort of the percentage of what we receive from the city versus sort of what our total income was. There was, I think, some confusing, a little bit of off information on the last one. So that was based, I think the information that was provided was based on our current cash flow, whereas our annual income this year is over $400,000. 85% of that is grant funded, and that is directly, or it goes directly into projects. We don't keep any of that back for operations, which is why the funding from the city is so significant for us. That's operational funding that I don't have to try to source somewhere else, that I then don't have to take time away, or potentially our capacity away from doing additional projects, because that funding is something that we can count on. So this is sort of where my final concern raises up. I appreciate that the appropriation is being considered to continue in the budget. I was concerned by some of the comments at the work session that was suggesting that it could be appropriated now, but maybe cut later in the year, or either decrease now or increase at some future time. And for our purposes with applying for grants, that's challenging. We have to budget what we're awarded. And I could potentially miss out on opportunities to find funds that would help support our operations, because I'm counting on those funds for our organization. And if we're in a position where we kind of can't count on those funds, then I now have to turn and look for those funds elsewhere, and that could reduce our capacity for doing additional projects. Especially, even just this month, we have 2 of our major operational or technical assistance grants open for application. And that's something I have to consider at this point. So again, I'm always available for communication. Please just give me a call, shoot me an email, and we're always available for our businesses who have any questions. And I did just want to make sure this evening that you have the relevant information. I appreciate the time to talk.
Thank you.
Deidre, I have just one quick question. First of all, thank you for coming tonight and clarifying this, because I think that this has been helpful on all sides to clarify either information that wasn't out there or wasn't correct. So thank you for doing that. Just one quick question. You mentioned about, obviously there could be times where you get called out to do something. Is there contact information posted at the building anywhere? For example, if you get called out and the door's locked, hey, you can contact me at this here, or I'll be back. And is there contact information?
Yes,
Okay.
we have an open or closed sign, and our email address is on there at all times. It's also included in our phone message, our answering messages, that you can either leave a message, you can email us for a more urgent response if we're not in. So we do try to make that information as available as possible.
Great. And then one final thing, if you could just talk for just a minute about how your board structure works. So your board of directors that supervises your organization, how folks get selected for that, if there's any opening, just kind of how that works.
Yeah, I'll certainly turn, I'll allow our board president she can speak a little bit more
Okay,
directly.
that'd be fine.
As executive director, I don't have really a whole lot of input into that.
That's fine.
I will say, I know there was a concern raised about the makeup of the board, how many sort of business owners are on there versus, community members, artists, that kind of thing. Just in my time, I've been here, gosh, it's my 7th year. And during that time, the makeup of the board has changed significantly based on the year. Sometimes we do have more business owners involved. Sometimes we've got more community organizations. Sometimes it's an even split. It really just depends on who's able and willing to commit that time, to be on the board during that time period. We're always looking for more people to get involved. And I will never say no if somebody wants to serve on a committee or get more involved with the board. That's something we always want to see. But we also understand that our small business owners, especially here, we have so many sole proprietors. There's a time factor into that. So, and we would be open certainly to information on recruiting additional businesses, to be a part of the organization, or even just providing more feedback at any given time. We're always open to that.
Thank you, Deidre.
I have one question. Are you going to do the bouquet thing again?
Yes, we are.
Good.
That
I
was
love
a hit.
That was so good.
Yeah, that was it. And just to clarify too, I think that was brought up that was to replace a canceled arts walk. We actually haven't had any canceled arts walks apart from the one during COVID, which and even then we did an online version of it. So that the Flower Foray, I think we called
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
Yeah, which, you know, we're rethinking the name. But that was actually in August. And so that was part of our First Fridays event program that we started this year to try to encourage people to get out on Friday evenings, which is sort of a time that we had heard through our stakeholder meetings. People were interested in being more out and about and seeing businesses open on those evenings. So,
Well, that was a
but
hit.
yeah.
Anything else? Thank you, Deidre. Okay. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Clorie Jackson. I live at 95 Victoria Lane, Frostburg, Maryland, 21532. I'm here just to speak a little bit more to your question about the makeup of the board of Frostburg First. I am the president of Frostburg First for a little less than a year now, I think, and I also do serve on the board development committee. So without having our bylaws right in front of me, I can say that the board is structured in such a way that we have board of directors that are representative of the community. And so what that means is we do have several seats that are what I would consider first right of refusal for different folks that represent the community. So for instance, there is a seat for city council. There is a seat for FSU representation, so for someone who either is a professor, administrator, or student at FSU. And then also, of course, for business owners as well. And I believe there are 2 business owners currently that serve on the board of directors. One of them is a little bit on hiatus because they just had a baby. And we are always welcoming more. We do hear feedback that business owners who are involved obviously are challenged because they're outrunning their business. And so we do seek other ways to get them involved. You do not have to be on the board to serve on committees. And then we also have about 25 participating business owners in our Frostburg First program, and so we get a lot of feedback that way. We have no shortage, though, of seats, so we actually, I think, currently have 3 seats available that are open. Come see me, talk to me about it. We're a lovely bunch. So that I hope that helps answer the question a little bit about the makeup of the board and the seats that are available, that we are really thinking about the structure of the community and that there's representation from all facets of the community.
It does. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Right. Any other comment or discussion from the public? Yes, sir.
Joe Hoffman, 1 Standy Street, Frostburg, Maryland, and I just wanted to speak briefly for the board of Frostburg First. 20 years ago is when we first started our Main Street program. I was on the board in the beginning as a Frostburg State University representative, and I've been on and off the board most years since then. I can't tell you how proud I am of the organization, how it has grown. In our original days, we were truly supported by the city, and that's about it. We had a very limited budget, but over the years we realized we needed to expand our sources of income because we had so many things that we know needed done. And so we sought out grants, state grants, federal grants, grants from other places, and you can see how much we now receive via grant funding. We could not do all of the things that we do without that funding. And I've got to tell you, Deidre has received a national reputation in the Main Street program for the wonderful work that she has done leading the organization. So I just wanted to tell you my perspective from being associated with Main Street program for all those years. I'm quite proud of where we are today, and I think we have enhanced the city of Frostburg to a terrific level. Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hoffman. You, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Hannah Ellman. Excuse me. I'm a homeowner here. I'm also a sole proprietor, so I own a handmade jewelry business. I'm an artist. So I would like to state my support of these funds going to all of these businesses. I didn't actually know all of these were part of this, but seeing it now, I've participated in a lot of these events, so I'm in support of them continuing. And then also Frostburg First, directly, I have experience being an artist at the Arts Walk. I will say personally, I've had very good experience and very good sales. Especially last year, I had record sales, and I was actually placed at the Gunter Hotel, of all places, and did quite well. And so I can say firsthand that there was lots of people walking through that business and many other businesses where all these artists are placed, which is like the whole idea of the Arts Walk, which maybe some people have missed that. But yeah, I can tell you firsthand, I was there all day, and that's what happens. People walk through, and then maybe they don't stop and like get a salad or get a drink like that particular day, but it gets people comfortable walking in the business's door. And then they'll come back again. They'll think of that as a place to go, you know, whatever business it happens to be. So I'm in full support of this continuing so that they can use their energy to find grants for all these other programs. I think it was great to have like some clarity on exactly what's happening with the budget, and you know, they need this for operations, so like let's not take it away. And yeah, I'm in support of this budget staying the way it is. All right, thank you.
Ms. Elman.
Keep making that jewelry.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. I'm Jerry LaFemina. I live at 209 West Mechanic Street, Frostburg. I am the president of Savage Mountain Punk Arts. I am former president of the board of Frostburg First, and I'm happy to say I am the person who hired Deirdre.
Thank you.
Well done.
Frostburg First is a business organization because it gets people walking downtown. Whether it's through the art walk, whether it's through its support of things like the Cocoa Crawl, it gets people walking downtown. I'm a New Yorker. I've lived here for 20 years. I love our downtown. I love the businesses in our downtown. And it's hard for the businesses in town. It's hard running an arts organization in this town. But Frostburg First gets people walking Main Street. That's how it helps our business most of all. Because it's easy to get in a car and go to Walmart. It's easy to go online onto Amazon. Anybody thinks that Frostburg First is somehow supposed to be having a sign saying, shop here, or stopping cars. That's not how it works. It's about showing that Frostburg really is cooler here. That being a part of the community is what you do as a community member. And I am so proud. Before Deirdre took the job, we had like, in my time on the board, Frostburg First board, I think we had 3 directors, including one sitting here. And the fact is, 2 of those directors went on to great things for the city and the county because they love this community so much. And I think we should be proud of Frostburg First and the work it does. And it's very easy to complain. I think, and I say this as someone who runs an arts organization that has grown crazily in 10 years, that complaints are part of growth. Because people want it to be easier. People liked it when it was smaller. People liked it when they were getting all the attention. Growth is good. And I'm so grateful to have watched Frostburg First grow and to have been a little part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir.
My name's Kenny Braitman. I used to live at 214 Delano Avenue, Frostburg. I now live in eastern Garrett County. My children went to Bell High School, then Bell High School, and also to the elementary school. And I now live in eastern Garrett County, as I said, and Frostburg First has made a home for people who don't live here. And it really has made a place for out of town. I can choose Oakland or I can choose Frostburg. I choose Frostburg. I'm in between both. But there's more community here. And I feel there's a genuine friendliness and acceptance that is hard to find anywhere else. And I no longer live here directly, but this is my home. And I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Ma'am.
I'll continue the theme of people who don't live here. My name's Donnell Keach. I live in Cumberland, Maryland. But over the 20 years that I've lived here, I have had a few moments when I've thought, maybe we should have lived in Frostburg. I love Frostburg, and I come up here all the time. When I need a book, I don't go to Amazon. I call Main Street Books, and they order it for me. I have had countless business meetings at Clatter and at Mountain City Creamery. I work for a global nonprofit organization, and when I have staff and donors who need to come to town and talk about the work that we're doing on behalf of our organization in Western Maryland, I put them up at the Gunter. I encourage them to walk across the street and have a drink at Dig Deep, because I know that they're going to have a great experience here in Frostburg. I look at all of the businesses that I love to come to, the events that I love to bring my family to. We always come up and take a stroll and see the decorated meters at Christmas time. It's kind of becoming a tradition for my brother and his wife and I come in from out of town. I see all these individual businesses, and I believe two things. One, that they didn't just happen, and they're not flourishing by chance. A lot of hard work went into that, and nobody builds something great by themselves. So having those connections and those relationships is just so important. And then the other thing I believe is that something has to be happening behind the scenes to make all of those individual businesses feel like more than the sum of their parts. I buy my books at Main Street because I know I'm going to come and have a great experience. I put my people at the Gunter because I know they're going to have a great experience. And that is all those intangible things that are making it more than the sum of its parts. So I'll just conclude by saying, good on you all. What a smart investment. I know that number 30 looks big compared to the other allocations, but when I was looking at the annual impact report, when you look at that $30,000 relative to all of the money that it leverages for investment in our community, that is a really smart investment, and I'm really glad that you chose to do it again this year. Thanks.
Thank you. Ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sarah Pramawat. I'm going to continue the line of not living in Frostburg. Don't judge me. I bought the house before I moved to Frostburg for my business. So I own Cafe Oasis. And I just want to give you a perspective of somebody who was from the outside who moved here. So when I first looked at where I was going to have my cafe, I looked on Main Street. I scouted Main Street for a whole week. I sat in the parking lot. I drove around. I was there at 5 in the morning. I was there at lunchtime, I did my surveillance, I was there in the evening. And I didn't really see a lot of traffic. And I was like, I'm not gonna do Frostburg. Main Street. Usually Main Street is known to be expensive. Anywhere else, if you look at Frederick, if you look at Baltimore City, and that's where I came from, I moved from Baltimore. So seeing all of that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't risk it. However, now I'm over at the Frostburg Plaza, which is very far away. And every time I see Deirdre's and her team posting about the Cocoa Crawl and Storybook, I wanted to be a part of it, but I would call Deirdre up and it's like, what can I do? I would like to be a part of this. I feel like we're left out all the way over there. Nobody's gonna walk over there. I partnered up with Runner's Wings to provide the lemonade when they were doing that in the summer. That's how much I wanted to do this, right? So I wanted to share this because I now have a second location underneath Dee Dee's because of Frostburg First. It's
Underneath
because
the-
I'm
in
sorry,
place of Dee
in
Dee's.
place of Dee Dee's, underneath, sorry, Main Street Pub. So I wanted to say, I decided to open my second location here because of everything that's Frostburg First has done. And I look forward to my daughter walking across the street to go to the bookstore because I feel that it's safe. You know, I would never let her walk down to the dollar store, which is 3 doors down. But I look forward to her walking to the library, walking to the bookstore. I know that the community, if she falls, they know where she's supposed to be, and I feel safe with that. And I also feel that there's so much that she's going to take out of me now having that second location. That's what I want to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Promwatch. Mrs. Jackson.
I'm gonna get in trouble for speaking. But it's okay, I'm still the mom. I just want to say I'm filled with pleasure because of Frostburg First. I have my family back. My daughter and son, both born and raised in Frostburg, and left. My son's in Texas, so I think. Depends on where he calls from. And my daughter moved out like the typical teenager. I'm on my own now. I'm doing my thing. And I would see her every once in a while. But because of Frostburg First and having children, she realized that her upbringing here is more of what she wants than other places. So her love for Frostburg gets me to see my grandbabies all the time. When people want me to do things, I'm like, I have to check to see where my grandbabies are going to be first, and if they're not welcome, I'm not coming. So I get my family back whole. And because Chloe moved away from the community, has lots of experiences, came back with lots of ideas, and care and love for this community. I am overwhelmed with her commitment to being here, to help, to lead. And I'm overwhelmed when I'm in the car with her little bitty babies who said, "Can we go to the library?" And things like that, that I wouldn't have had it not been for Frostburg First. Then I got to meet Deidre on top of it, and I pestered her to death with questions of how to do things in the town. And so not only do we have a wonderful organization making a big difference, we have people that care, that came from here, that know that this is a loving, safe community, and want to continue and improve on what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Seeing no other public comment, the question before Mayor and Council is approval of ordinance 2025-1, the first reading of the budget ordinance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ordinance is approved for first reading. Will be presented again next month. Next up is ordinance 2025-02.
So this ordinance is related to the city's moving forward with Surfline. So ordinance 2025-02 would repeal and reenact with amendments section 6-7 of the city code pertaining to the city's leak adjustment policy. So because the mayor and city council decided to establish the leak protection program whereby the responsibility for the adjustment on the utility bills would go to a third party in certain circumstances, the customers who are eligible to participate in the leak protection program would pay the fee as specified in the schedule of municipal fees. And customers who opt out of that program would remain ineligible for leak under the leak adjustment policy. So this maintains the leak adjustment for the customers who are not eligible for the third party, and it clarifies the change in eligibility under the policy that had been in place. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to explain more. But otherwise, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2025-02 on first reading and set the May 20th, 2025 meeting as the advertised public hearing.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-02 on first reading.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-02 for first reading. Any further comment among council? Just to clarify again, because I know this is kind of tricky, what we're doing is taking the city's leak adjustment policy that we have right now. So if you have a water leak at your house, you can call it and have it adjusted here. We're replacing that with voluntary insurance. So we'll add a $1.70 charge to your water bill for insurance, and then if there is a leak at your house or anything happens like that, the city's not involved with it. You call the serve line folks, and they will essentially do the work to fix the leak for you, right? So it works, in our opinion, it works out well.
They don't fix the leak.
They don't fix it, but they pay for it.
They provide the adjustment on your utility bill.
Right.
Regarding the excess usage. So
Right.
they pay the city a portion of your bill, and you're responsible for the other portion
Right,
of your
right.
bill.
Okay.
They are not involved in the repair, but they have their own qualifications as to whether the homeowner is allowed to use that protection.
Got it. Anything further among council? Any public comment or discussion on this ordinance? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ordinance 2025-02 is approved for first reading and will be presented again in May. Ordinance 2025-03.
So the final ordinance to present for your consideration this evening is an ordinance that, in addition to renumbering sections of the city code as it pertains currently in the tax section, this would enact a new section 3-5 of the city code pertaining to the establishment of a tax credit for members of the Frostburg Fire Department Number 1. So to be clear, the Frostburg Fire Department is an entity which is a separate, distinct legal entity from the city of Frostburg. Passing this ordinance would establish a real estate tax credit for eligible members of the fire department, and the ordinance establishes those eligibility criteria. The ordinance is designed to incentivize persons to serve as volunteers with the Frostburg Fire Department. And the way the ordinance is established, the eligibility criteria for the tax credit, the volunteer would have to be alive, an active member of the Frostburg Fire Department, and have successfully completed any initial probationary period required by the fire department. The tax credit would be exclusively available for their primary dwelling. The fire department volunteer would submit an application for the tax credit, and the Frostburg Fire Department would certify in writing by 2 officers that the individuals are eligible for the tax credit in advance of the next tax year. So the fire department would provide the list of eligible individuals to the city no later than May 1st, and it would apply to the tax bills generated that following July. The criteria is also linked to coordinate with the income tax subtraction that is available to members who qualify for the Louis Goldstein income tax subtraction. And that sets their criteria as far as points. So we're not creating a different criteria, we're just recognizing their volunteer service. The credit would be $500 per year. If a dwelling is owned by 2 or more volunteers who are deemed to be eligible, the tax credit could not exceed $1,000 per year, and the tax credit may not exceed the amount of the city taxes due for that year. The credit would be non-transferable, and if a property is sold during the year, that tax credit would be prorated. And any currently elected officials are not eligible for the tax credit. So I would be happy to address any other questions. Otherwise, I would ask for a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2025-03 on first reading and set the May 20th, 2025 council meeting as the advertised public hearing.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 2025-3.
Second.
It's been duly moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2025-03 on first reading. Any further discussion among council on this? Any comment or discussion among members of the public? Hearing none, as many as are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Please let the record show that I have abstained from the vote as I am a member of the fire department. The ayes have it. Ordinance is approved on first reading and will be read again at the May meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next is item D, so we're back to resolutions. Resolution 2025-15. Mr. Lindsay.
Yep, so this should be a pretty quick, pretty simple one. Resolution 2025-15 would be to declare our last city-owned public homeowner grade vehicle within the fleet as surplus. So the rest of our fleet has been upgraded to fleet lease. Other than some of our heavy trucks, we still own those, but this is a 2011 Chevy truck. The transmission has gone out of it, and with all of the salt that we have been moving with it, it is fairly rusted out, and it is no longer safe to be operating. So I would just ask for a motion and a second to declare that vehicle surplus, where then we can sell it, scrap it, get rid of it for whatever we can get out of it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to talk about it. If not, I would ask for a motion in a second on 2025-15.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025-15.
Second.
Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-15. Any further discussion among council? Would you say it's in better or worse condition than the thing that I drive?
It's worse.
It's worse than that?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything else? Any comment or discussion among the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-15 is approved. Last one, resolution 2025-16. Chief Costello.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Good evening again. The city's received a request from Frostburg First for the mayor and council to waive temporarily the open container ban on Main Street for the Spring Arts Walk. This is always a very positive event for downtown Frostburg. No concerns at all with the open container issue from the police department, so we would respectfully recommend you approve the request.
Got no problem with that. I move we approve resolution 2025-16.
Second. Duly moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-16. Any further discussion or comment among council? You going to behave that day?
I'd just like to point out that this is an excellent thing that Frostburg First does. And something related, Deidre had a concern about the funding maybe being cut. Well, I'd like to go on the record to say that I am totally against any cut in that funding for the year.
I'll echo those sentiments. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're pretty united on that.
Okay. Anything further among council on this resolution? Comment or discussion among the public on the resolution? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 2025-16 is approved. Thank you, Chief. That's everything under new business. We move now into item 12, open public comment. So this is the time period for citizens or anyone in the public to make general comments on anything they like. Ms. Moore.
Good evening. In addition to the support that everyone has shown for Frostburg First this evening, I also want to acknowledge the support that you provide CES at Frostburg State University. I come before you as the director of CES at Frostburg State University. The university and my team are grateful for the support that has been provided through the City of Frostburg's hotel-motel allocation to support our programming. This funding plays a vital role in sustaining the kind of high-quality programming that enriches the lives and brings people together. This season, CES has presented nationally recognized artists in 10 performances with one more engagement at the end of the month. We've had numerous workshops, lectures, and theme-related food events for our regional community. Your support keeps these events affordable and accessible to the entire community. When people come out for a CES event, they're also eating at local restaurants, staying in town, and connecting with Frostburg in meaningful ways. A patron shared this comment at our post-show survey from last Friday's performance featuring Jemani Smith at the Frostburg Palace Theater. CES is a great asset to our community. Without it, we wouldn't have this opportunity to experience world-class performances right here in Frostburg. I sincerely hope CES will continue for many years to come. On behalf of everyone involved with CES at Frostburg State University and the many community members who benefit from it, thank you. We look forward to sharing the upcoming season with you and continue to grow CES into a cultural cornerstone for our region. To those here this evening or watching online, you can learn more about our programming on our website at ces.frostburg.edu, on Facebook and Instagram, or by subscribing from our monthly newsletter. A link for this can be found on our website. We hope you will make us and other programming part of your entertainment options in Western Maryland. And thank you again for your time and for believing in the power of the arts.
Thank you. I'll echo Ms. Moore's comments. When the Maryland Symphony was here in February, we were offered a chance to go and see that. And in addition to being a great Valentine's date, thank you for that, world class on that. Just the world class entertainment that CES brings to our community, which echoes everything else. It is really wonderful. Thank you. All right, we'll look at the sign-up list here. Let me see. Oh, Mrs. Jackson.
I didn't sign up. Can I talk?
Sure. Well, yeah. We'll just go in order here, and then, because I think some of these folks maybe have already spoken. So, Chloe Jackson.
Thank you. I know we've talked a lot about Frostburg First this evening. I will be very brief, but I do want to touch on something that I don't think is widely known. Frostburg First is a nationally and statewide accredited program, and our accreditation is contingent on having a formal relationship with our city. So I want to say thank you for being a part of that and making that possible. That has opened up many doors and actually accounts for over, I think, half of the grant funding that we have received. I also want to take this moment to publicly thank the staff of Frostburg First, starting with Deirdre Robertson, also Dana Bridges, and Katie Letzko. The work that they do is incredible. I recently had the opportunity to present alongside Deirdre and Dana at the National Main Street Conference. And what an incredible opportunity to see Frostburg there with so many other Main Street organizations across the U.S. And we represented well, and Deirdre especially represented us very well. It is so incredible to hear one of the former presidents of Frostburg First here today. I can say since the brief time that I have been involved with Frostburg First, I have seen the funding increase tenfold, and that funding has been poured right back into the community. Namely, in part, I'm also the founder of the Brownsville Project, and that funding went to honoring the Brownsville and Park Avenue community by having a sculpture on Main Street, which we're incredibly proud of and thankful for. And there's also the Veterans Program, honoring our veterans, that is incredibly important, that I look forward to every year seeing as I drive or walk down the Main Street. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that the accreditation that we have at the state and the national level really is really because of this relationship that we have. I am looking forward to building this relationship with the City Council and with the city, and so I thank you.
Thank you. Deidre Robertson. Good. Joe Hoffman. Good. I'm just going down through the list. Melanie Moore. Riker Peterson. And/or Kevin Peterson. No? Okay. Kelly Mears.
Howdy, folks.
Hi there.
Missed you last month. Sorry, I wasn't feeling well. I live at 58 Linden Street, for the record, and I speak in front of you today in amplification of a lot of the messages that were shared already in honor and support of Frostburg First. Frostburg First is an organization that definitely speaks to one of the main reasons why my partner and I moved and chose and selected Frostburg as a location. So I'll amplify that as a place and perspective of someone who came from outside of Frostburg and came to Frostburg and found everything I was looking for within the bounds and the operations of what Frostburg First amplifies in this community. It would be a huge mistake to see an organization like that lose funding, not just because what they're doing right now is incredible, but because I can speak to how difficult it is to run a nonprofit on a budget that small. They deserve to be able to do things reliably and sustainably, and then to be able to do their work without the distractions of money. Grateful for the support of the community here, grateful to see the support of this council. And that gratitude is really one of the main themes that I come in front of you before, because I'm feeling very, very grateful to be in this city, in this time, in this space. The last time I spoke in front of you, I spoke to bear witness to what I was seeing in this country, and it scares me. It still scares me today. We are seeing even more just decimation of precious public resources on a national level, on a state level, just for featuring words like women, inclusivity, diversify. How silly is that? We logic-brained people can understand how silly that is and how precious our beautiful resources are just disappearing in front of us. I'm also seeing the disappearance of not just resources, but people. And that scares me a lot. As a person who stands before you today, as a woman, as a queer person, I know that my rights are not guaranteed. They are something that has been earned by death, blood, and battle shed, and I don't want to see us entering a space of violence. But I am terrified as I walk forward and I see green card holding people, asylum seeking people, and citizenship holding people in this country being disappeared, including in this state being disappeared, and having the demands from the highest court in our country be completely blatantly ignored by our executive branch. Now I know that that's not the mandate of this council, but I think it's important to document what's happening to people in this country, including those like Kilmar Garcia, who are not being returned to this country even though they are citizenship holding people who have done no wrong. The Supreme Court has demanded their return, the government facilitate their return, and we're doing nothing. So I'm grateful to live in a community like Frostburg where I feel pretty safe. I feel like when I walk around the streets, people are looking to protect me, to support me, that if I were to fall and skid my knee, or if I were to have an issue, that my neighbors have my back. But I am definitely concerned about what happens outside of these boundaries and what we can do within this place to continue that spirit of Frostburg's welcoming nature to all people, to all families, so that all young people have the ability to stay safe in their schools and their churches and where they choose to practice and roam free. I find it really important that we honor those spaces, that we don't let ICE into our schools, into our churches, or into our community safe spaces. I am worried about the people who I have a beer with on Friday night because they go work at construction sites on Saturday morning. I am worried about the people who I spend time with at Clatter Cafe because I don't know who's coming after them tomorrow or the next day or the next day. At its simplest, I'm here to document this because it's my right, my privilege, and my duty and my responsibility to document this within the confines of the City Council. I said last time I was here, I don't know what we can do. I'm frustrated, I'm hurt. The more that we can do here that simply says that this is a place that is safe, that is a sanctuary for queer people, for trans people, for people all across this country who have had a documented right to be here and who have demonstrated their contributions to our community. I don't want to see my friends and my families disappeared from Frostburg just because we weren't paying attention to what's happening in Maryland and what's happening in this country at large. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Absolutely. Next on the list is Fred Powell. Okay, very good. Donnell Keach. Okay, thank you. Lance Jackson. Yes, sir. Carmen Jackson.
I kind of came up, I thought that was the appendix sheet.
Ah.
I just got it done what I was doing. I'm hoping you're not gonna say it's not our problem, but I wish you would hear me out even if it's not.
Sure.
I'm concerned about the road between the Hill and Sheets, the back road. And you might say, well, that's the contractor somewhere that owns it, I don't know. But it would be beneficial to Frostburg to make that a 2-lane street. Because one, people are coming down anyway. And not safe, not wide enough, poor condition. And I don't know who owns what part of what land, but it looks like enough there to put a two-way. And it would help coming off that hill to go to another light, as opposed to where you go off where there's not a light. Especially the traffic between Sheets, the school, students walking up that area, it's not safe. And I think it would help Frostburg if it was a two-way street. It would help in that our young people who walk that a lot would be safe, someplace to actually walk it safely. It would help with the businesses up there getting business. And if we can keep those businesses thriving with people going up there easily, that's going to help Frostburg. It's going to help the businesses grow. So I don't know if it's the contractor who owns what up there, but the city of Frostburg, we already have the light right there. I see land, I don't know who owns it. We should be able to make that work to our benefit, as opposed to, right now I see a lot of trash there, cars having to go off the road to get around, and sliding around, and it just could be a benefit to Frostburg somehow if we can get it together and make that a two-way street and use that light that's already there to our benefit. Increase people going over to the dollar store. Save a lot. You know, all of those things can benefit. Because if you got to go out and around and do all that, you say, well, I'll go tomorrow. I'll do this. So we may be losing money because it's easier to just keep on down to LaVelle as opposed to going right there in our community. Thank you.
At the very least, they can fix the potholes.
Yeah, I would say two things. I think it is privately owned, so I don't know that we could force the landowner to do that, but we can certainly look into it, sure.
Well, I don't know who owns the land on the side to the right, if that's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Hayden would know.
Hayden would know.
So it is privately owned. It's owned by the owners of the plaza, but it is definitely something we can look into and start that conversation with them. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, and you made a good point, Mrs. Jackson, people do it anyway. So if people at least knew that it was two-way, you would know to maybe look for another car coming down here, where now you just don't look for it.
If we want to make it safer for students, we should put in a sidewalk.
Maybe that too,
I mean,
yeah.
they should put in a sidewalk.
So I can't speak to details at the moment, but that is a most likely in the next 2 to 3 year time frame state highway project in that area for pedestrian improvements. Yep.
Well, that's,
Yep.
Next on the list is Ann Bristow.
she left.
She left, okay. Next is Kenny Braitman. I think he also left. Jerry LaFemina.
I'll actually say one other thing, if
Sure, of
that's
course,
okay.
please.
Not related to Frostburg first, but a thank you to the city of Frostburg. One, for the continued support of Savage Mountain Pond Guards. We continue to grow. I mean, part of our mission has always been to be an economic engine for Western Maryland, right? We do events in Cumberland and in Frostburg, but we did open our art gallery in the deep end because we love Frostburg. And I also want to give a special shout out to Brian Voigt, who is amazing to work with and who works his tail off to make sure when we do an event at City Place or at Hoffman Park that we are well taken care of. He is very, very responsive. And also Chief Costello, who at this point just says, I trust you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a well-oiled machine.
Carol Smith.
Oh, no, I thought it was a sign-in.
Oh, okay, okay. Sarah Promawat, I think she's already left also. Alexandria Daniel. Alexandria Daniel. Okay. Julius Gamber. Okay. That's all I have on the list. Is there anyone who is not on the list who would like to speak? Okay, hearing none. Meeting is adjourned. Wait. My fault. Sorry, you know.
That's okay. I just wanted to kind of clear this